Alright, hey guys, so another E3 down with a lot of big surprises, big reveals, a lot of games to look forward to this year and next year, and for one, I know I'm excited for a lot of titles that are coming out. So, I'm going to start with Nintendo, just to pick up on my previous two videos. I just want to emphasize that I thought that it was their best E3 in a long time, probably the best that I can remember watching, ever since I started watching the E3 press conferences. And it's just because they really listened to the criticism that was given to them in the past years about, they were focusing too much on the casual, they weren't paying enough attention to the hardcore, and that they only released, one, maybe two games that to satisfy us hardcore gamers over the course of 1 year. Well, they completely countered that. I thought their press conference was unbelievable. We're getting a new Zelda game next year. We're getting a new Mario game, which in my video you might have heard me say, oh, no big deal, another sports Mario game. But actually, after watching the trailer in full, because I only saw the tail end of it, after watching the full trailer, I actually think that game looks pretty fun, and I'll definitely be buying that. And then Epic Mickey as well, which looks like it's going to be a great exclusive, a great platformer. You guys know me, I love my platformers, and that game looks excellent. And then some big reveals. We're getting a brand new console Kirby game, the first one in I believe they said 7 years, and it's a 2D platformer that looks amazing with this art style that kind of blends like hand-drawn and like this stylistic approach of using everything as yarn and thread in the game, so all the enemies and the power-ups and everything in the game, besides like the backgrounds and everything, are made of like this yarn. So really cool art style. I'm really excited for that. And this might surprise a lot of you, but out of all the games that were shown at Nintendo's press conference, that's the one that I'm actually looking forward to the most, even more so than the new Zelda. And speaking of new Zelda, my opinions on that are I actually really like the art style. I know a lot of people are kind of upset that it's going back to more of like a cel-shaded kind of look, but I actually really like it. I thought Twilight Princess looked great with its more realistic graphical approach, but Skyward Sword kind of mixes Twilight Princess in terms of like just the environments, but then the graphics are sort of like a mix of Wind Waker, where it sort of has this cel-shaded look that isn't quite cel-shaded, but it has that kind of shading to it, where, say Link's tunic would be comprised of like different shades of green, kind of segmented up into the different shades. It's kind of hard to explain. It's a stylistic cel-shading style, just like the Wind Waker, without the harsh black lines and everything. So, looking forward to that. So far, there's really no gimmick, I guess you can say, to Skyward Sword, besides that it uses Motion Plus, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's no sailboats or ship planes or anything like that yet. So it looks like a straight-up adventuring Zelda game so far, from what we've seen. So I'm really looking forward to that. We're getting a new Donkey Kong game, Donkey Kong Country Returns. Now, it wasn't as much of a big surprise to me as it should have been, because I remember reading on Joystick that a new Donkey Kong game was highly rumored to be in the works, so I kind of expected a new Donkey Kong game. I didn't expect it to be a 2D platformer, though, that looks exactly like the classic Donkey Kong Country games. And, hey, I love Nintendo, I love their games, I love platformers, and that was just a big surprise to me. I'm really looking forward to that as well. And to me, it looks like it's not going to have any gimmicks with motion controls, really. It's going to be a straight-up platformer, which is excellent. We're getting a new GoldenEye, which I'm kind of half and half on, because for one, it's only going to be on the Wii, which I don't have a problem with. It's better than not having a new GoldenEye. I still would have loved to have seen a new GoldenEye, or just a remake of the original, just the HD remake on the 360 or PS3 with Xbox Live support or PSN support. Just because the servers are much more stable, you don't got to worry about friend codes or anything like that. But hey, we're getting a new GoldenEye on the Wii. 16-player online, I believe. I hope that this, there's multiplayer lobbies and we don't gotta put in like 16-digit friend codes if you want to play with your friends. It's just a big hassle. But yeah, GoldenEye should be awesome. We're also getting Metroid Other M, which, man, I'll tell you, when I first saw it last year at E3, I was pretty excited for it, but after seeing the gameplay for it, I really can't wait for this. And I'm not hugely into the Metroid series. I only played Metroid Prime 1. I haven't played the second or the third. But definitely, I'm really excited for Other M. I like the direction they're going with it, kind of a hybrid between first person and third person, and platforming and adventuring. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I want to pick that up for sure. We saw some more gameplay of Golden Sun for the DS, which is shaping up to be another great traditional turn-based RPG. I missed the first half of that trailer as well during the press conference, so I had to go back and watch the full thing. And it looks like the DS games, just with a more graphical, overhaul, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then, of course, Dragon Quest IX is coming much earlier than I expected on July 11th, and I'm definitely going to be picking that up. I can't wait for the 4-player online with that. And then, of course, there's the 3DS, probably the biggest reveal of the show, only because we really knew absolutely nothing about what the hardware looked like, what the games were really going to look like. And believe it or not, I was kind of shocked that they kept the same design as the DS consoles right now. The design of the unit itself looks very similar to, a DSi. It's just that the top screen is widescreen and the bottom screen is more of, just a regular 4x3 screen like the DSi's have now. I guess why change something that's not broken? The design of the current DSs are fine. They're pretty portable. Fold them right up. The button layouts are fine. And the main addition to the 3DS is the addition of a sort of, I guess you can say, a joystick. I've heard that it's similar to a PSP's joystick, only it actually works good. So I haven't used it myself, so I can't really say, but it's great that they're adding an alternative to, having to use either the touchscreen or the D-pad for moving around in 3D games, so definitely a plus. And then, of course, they revealed Kid Icarus Uprising. Kind of blew me away. In a way, there's been so many rumors of a Kid Icarus game coming out. Every E3 for a while now, people have been saying, there's going to be a new Kid Icarus, there's going to be a new Kid Icarus, and we finally got it, and I think it looks amazing. The graphics that we saw weren't even in 3D, but it looked on par with a high-end Wii game, even like late generation PS2, which you might be saying, oh, PS2 Wii graphics, what's the big deal? But it's definitely a big step up for Nintendo, I have to say. They're moving in the right direction at least, and that's, actually upgrading their visuals and doing it first on a handheld is definitely a plus. Now, when it comes to the 3D visuals itself, you obviously can't go to YouTube and you can't watch a video and say, wow, that looks amazing, because there's really no way that I've found to experience what the 3DS looks like unless you see it in person. So, since I haven't seen it in person yet, I guess we're going to have to wait until, there's in-store demos at like GameStops or Best Buys or something like that before we could actually get a true look at the 3DS. Now, from what I've heard, reports are that the 3DS is absolutely amazing, that it really does work, and I was sold when, I believe I was listening to the Giant Bombcast podcast, when they said that when there was a demo for like a Mario game where Mario jumped or Yoshi jumped or something, and it looked like it was coming off the screen. So it's not just an illusion that the screen goes in, so it doesn't look like you're looking into a box. It actually looks like stuff is rising up out of the screen in 3D, just like they showed off in that kind of fancy trailer that Nintendo showed at the end of their press conference. Reports are it actually does that, so I'm hyped for it. I don't know about you guys, but I will take ports of all the old N64 games, because in the works are Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. There's going to be a remake of Star Fox. So honestly, take all the N64 games out there, remake them on the 3DS with 3D capabilities. I'm all for it. I don't care. I'll pay $5 each. Bring it all, and you can adjust the 3D sensitivity, so if you don't want 3D in your games, you can turn it down. I'll be using it for sure, though. Can't wait for that. Don't know how they're going to deal with, getting DSiWare games onto the 3DS. Knowing Nintendo, they probably won't allow it, so just another reason to keep around your old DSi's and DSi XLs. So I'm definitely hyped for the 3DS. It's definitely going to be probably coming out next year from North America. In terms of price, I'm guessing that when they bring it out, they'll probably drop the price down slightly on the DSi and the DSi XL. I would not be surprised if you see the DS Lite discontinued. And the price of the 3DS will probably be no less than $200, probably $250-ish. If they go more than that, I kind of find that hard to believe, because Nintendo now, they have this whole thing about pricing, accordingly to make it affordable for families and everything. And if the Wii console itself right now is $200, by next year it'll probably see another price drop. I think they're going to be hard pressed to sell a handheld system for $250 or more. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, I was so impressed by Nintendo. Hands down, their best press conference that I've seen, and they won E3 for me in terms of their presentation during their keynotes. So they did great. Alright, so moving on to the Xbox 360. I would say I'm pretty underwhelmed with 360's press conference. They really didn't have any big reveals that we didn't know about already. They showed off gameplay of Gears of War 3, which looks really good, but of course we knew that Gears of War 3 was coming already. I'll probably actually pick Gears 3 up. I never even played Gears 2, but the 4-player online is kind of appealing to me, especially the online mode where you can actually play as the enemies, just like in Left 4 Dead, which is pretty cool to me, so I'll probably be picking that up. Fable 3, once again, I never played Fable 2. Fable 3, the series just never really appealed to me, so in a way, I guess my opinions are kind of skewed on their press conferences, since they showed a lot of series that I haven't played. I'm not ashamed to say I've never played a Fable game. Maybe I'll get into it, with Fable 3. I can't really say. But moving on to Halo Reach now, out of the games that they showed, that was one of the best ones that I saw at their press conference. Halo Reach looks like it's shaping up to be a great game. There's going to be space combat, which is pretty cool. Obviously, they're probably going to bring that online, which is a big plus, a big evolution for the series. It's finally moving away from just first-person shooter, which could be good or it could be bad. Definitely the campaign looks pretty awesome. The scripted events and everything look like they're panning out really well. The co-op, of course, I'll play through that with some friends or something. And just like every Halo game, I'll pick it up when it comes out. I'll probably play it for a month or two, and then I'll move on to another game. That's just how I am with the Halo series. I don't hate the series, but I'm not deeply in love with the series. I enjoy it for when it comes out, and then I just move on. I never played Halo ODST beyond the first or second level, so it's been a while since I've played a Halo game, especially online. Now, Microsoft had a huge emphasis, as expected, on Project Natal, which is also now called Kinect. And honestly, Kinect just doesn't seem like it's for me. I still can't grasp the whole idea of, playing a racing game like this, having to stand up while playing the racing game, moving around to drive my cars. I can see it's going to be great for kids and, families that want to play. But for me, where, I've been playing games for years with a controller in my hand, it just doesn't seem like it's for me. And they really haven't shown off any games besides that Star Wars game, which I'm still kind of partial on myself. I have to see that in action, besides just a demo that looked like it was not exactly a real person playing the gameplay. And they haven't really shown any games that really reach out to me. I'll never play an exercise game like what they showed. I'll never play the dance game what they showed. I'll never play that animals game that they showed. I'll never play the racing game that they showed. They really didn't show any games that I was interested in that makes me want to go, wow, I want to buy this system. And it seems so limited to me. Like, if you don't have any tools to move your character around in a 3D space, how far can they really go with Kinect? I was thinking, like, when they were showing off the new Forza game, all they were doing was just steering left and right, and it was like an on-rails driving game almost. And how much further can they bring it? Maybe if they had a command where you can accelerate, deaccelerate, but it seems kind of limited. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the idea for Kinect is great. I'm not sure if it'll sell well. It all depends on the price that they choose for it. I know there's going to be a lot of families out there that will absolutely love it, like that one game they showed off, the adventure game, where they're on the raft and they're, doing the poses and grabbing the coin things and dodging, pillars and everything. That looks like it's a lot of fun, and I think a lot of people will really enjoy that. But for me, it's just not for me. Now, in the future, if they bring out games, that are more for hardcore gamers that I would enjoy, I might pick it up. Like, if that Star Wars game that they showed actually turns out to be kind of like that, I might be more interested in it. But until I see actual people playing the game and seeing it work, I'm not really completely sold on Kinect yet. The only game that really has my attention right now was shown off at Ubisoft's press conference, and that's Child of Eden, which is basically going to be the sequel to Rez, which is one of my favorite games of all time. Basically, it's going to be an on-rail shooter where you use your hand as the target, and I don't know what the command is, but you shoot your enemies, and it's kind of all music-based and visual-based, and it's just a really cool-looking game. So if anything, that might get me to buy a Kinect, but besides that, there's really nothing that interests me. So, besides the Kinect and the first-party games that Microsoft revealed that we basically already knew about, the press conference was okay. It wasn't out of this world. I think they focused a little too long on Kinect, and they should have maybe showed off some games that, we didn't see coming. Alright, so moving on to Sony's press conference, and I just want to start off with my biggest disappointment from Sony. No Last Guardian gameplay. For those of you that don't know, Ico and Shadow of the Colossus are some of my absolute favorite games of all time. Last Guardian was my most anticipated game for this year's E3. We saw some gameplay from last year, and I just couldn't wait to see where they were going. Nothing at E3. They're obviously holding off until the Tokyo Game Show, but man, they didn't even give it a mention. You know, when they were showing the compilations of games that were coming out this year and next year for PlayStation 3, exclusively for PlayStation 3, they didn't even give it a mention. I thought that was pretty strange. And I guess I'll have to wait a little bit longer. And in its place, at the end of the show, Sony showed off Twisted Metal. So in a way, I wasn't as excited for Twisted Metal as I should have been, because I was kind of anticipating Last Guardian being the last game that they showed off. But what are you going to do? Speaking of Twisted Metal, though, it looks like it's shaping up to be a great game. I'm a huge Twisted Metal fan. There hasn't been one in the series since Twisted Metal Black, a true Twisted Metal game. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm kind of partial to the whole sniper rifle and helicopter thing. You know, they showed a point in the game where they just sat on top of, you know, above all the cars below, and they were just sniping everybody. I'm like, what is this, Call of Duty Twisted Metal? I mean, I don't know about that. And then there were helicopters where you can shoot the cars down below. Who knows? I mean, it seems like they're taking a change for the series. It's going to obviously have a big focus on multiplayer. I'm going to buy it regardless. I kind of like the style of Twisted Metal Black more than what they're showing off. It seems like they've kind of gone back to the days of, you know, Twisted Metal 2 to 4 with the sort of more arcadey, not even lighthearted, but more arcadey style to it. Twisted Metal Black was just this hardcore, dark, grimy car game, but who knows? Twisted Metal is shaping up to be a great exclusive for the PlayStation 3. And other than that, you know, Sony showed off nothing on the PSP really. I was actually really surprised because there were so many rumors going around about a new PSP, PSP2. I couldn't believe that they didn't even announce any kind of price drop, because the way that the Go has been selling, I thought for sure that they were going to drop the price on that maybe, or some kind of bundle, but they really didn't. I still have not bought a Go. I think it's way too expensive. I was possibly going to buy one if they announced a price drop and, you know, download PSN titles on it. But nothing, so it looks like I'm going to be without a PSP Go for quite a while now. Obviously, they had another large emphasis on the PlayStation Move. Now, between the Move and Kinect, I'm much more looking forward to the Move. And that's because, well, for one, you have a joystick so you can move around in 3D environments. And two, it's going to have, you know, optional compatibility within games. For example, SOCOM 4, you're going to have the option of using the Move controls or the joystick controls. Someone like me, I'll probably stick with the joystick controls, but hey, if the Move controls really give me that precision that I want in a shooter, maybe I'll try that out. Games that are already out, like Heavy Rain, they're going to incorporate the Move controls, which is pretty cool. And overall, you know, the Move to me is the one-up of the Wii controls. Is it going to be better than, you know, the Wii and the Motion Plus? Most definitely. They showed off that one game, I believe it was called Sorcery, where it's sort of like a third-person action game. And, you know, you're basically just using the controller as your wand, and you use all your magic spells like that, which is cool. It basically looks like a Wii game, just with more precise controls. There's no other way, really, to describe it. You know, in the future, I'm sure we'll see a lot more games that use the Move to its full potential. As of right now, a lot of it is it looks like it's sort of like in almost full-fledged demos. Sony said that they're not going to charge more than $40 for their Move titles, which is pretty cool, but that also kind of tells me that they don't expect a lot from the Move titles as well. If they're not pricing them at full price of $60, does that mean that we're kind of getting half of a game that we normally would have been if it was a full-fledged $60 title? I'm not complaining about the price, but these are just, things to think about. Since they're reducing the price, are these really going to be, the games that we're expecting them to be? Who knows? So really, Sony's biggest titles that are coming out this year are going to be Little Big Planet 2 and Gran Turismo 5. And I'll have to say I'm pretty excited for both of them. I'm not as excited for Little Big Planet 2 as I probably should be. I guess I still can't take in the fact that, it's going to move away from being solely a platformer, which I love so much about the first one. But, how else are they going to evolve the series if they're just going to stick within the platformer genre? How much further can they go? So by adding in the ability to make all different kinds of games, like shooting games, racing games, and mini games within the Little Big Planet universe, I guess that's a great way to evolve through the series. But for me, I'm going to pick up Little Big Planet 2 probably for the platformer levels, because that's what I enjoyed about the series. Other than that, Gran Turismo 5 is finally coming out November 2nd, and I will be one to admit that I'm not a huge fan of racing simulators. You know, I prefer my races to be arcadey and everything, but Gran Turismo 5 just looks amazing. The graphics on that game, back when they released the prologue demo on the PlayStation Store, back when the system first released, I thought that looked amazing. So I can only imagine what this game is going to look like. It's definitely going to be a showcase for this generation of gaming in terms of visuals. So I'm definitely going to be picking up Gran Turismo 5, despite, you know, not being a big fan of simulators myself. So I'm looking forward to that. That comes out November 2nd. Sony's other big announcement was PlayStation Network Plus, which I'm looking forward to that. You know, people will complain, oh, Sony's charging now. What happened to their free service? Their free service isn't going anywhere. You don't have to pay the $50, which is basically going to get you access to, you know, stuff beforehand, exclusive betas, exclusive demos, exclusive content, whatever else they have planned for it. For one, I'll be paying for it. You know, what is it, $4 a month for some extra content? You know, maybe they'll improve the chat services and everything, and, you know, not having to go through tons of loading menus and everything just to access your gamer score on there. So I think it's a great idea, great move for Sony. And, you know, hey, if you don't want to pay the $50, don't complain, don't pay it. But for those of us that have been waiting for something like this from the PlayStation Network, I'm all for it, because for one, I'll tell you, the one reason why, if a game is on both the PlayStation 3 and this 360, the reason why I always buy it on 360 is because the 360 has, you know, the Xbox Live service, which has always been, in my opinion, much better than PlayStation Network service. So if Sony can get their games on par with Xbox, maybe I won't have to make that judgment anymore and buy it for the PlayStation 3. So we'll see how that goes. So overall, Sony had a good press conference. I think it was a little bit better than Microsoft's, only because we saw some surprises in there, some reveals that we weren't really expecting too much. So if I had to rank the press conferences, obviously number one would be Nintendo. Second would be Sony, tied closely with Microsoft. So there you go, guys. That's my impressions on the press conferences. E3 as a whole, I've still got tons of trailers and tons of gameplay videos to check out before, you know, I can really truly take in everything that was E3 this year. So maybe after I check out all the videos and the gameplay stuff, I'll make another video on, you know, some of my most anticipated games that will be coming out by the end of this year or next year. And we'll see how that goes. So thanks for watching. Definitely going to be a huge year for gaming. And next year, it's shaping up to be a good one already. Thanks for watching, guys.